Market update here on the 24th. So Meta beat their earnings, but they also guided. They didn't have good guidance. And so I went through this chart for about 45 minutes here a second ago, trying to figure out what this was. I think this is a 5-wave move still. You have to look on the regular chart though. Could be ABCs too, ABC as well. But the fact is that this second wave was such a short time length, I consider it a second wave. So it retraced on the log chart basically back to the 0.5 fib. So with that being said, the target for a third wave using the log chart is going to give me like 2,400. So I don't even use that right now for the target. But we definitely have an impulse here. This is definitely an impulse right here. And we have to figure out where we're at in the chart now. So on the weekly time frame, I have this as the third wave right here, fourth wave right here. And then you can see 1, 2. And I really think that this is a fourth wave, a really deep fourth wave. If we go to the daily chart, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, like this. It's kind of a sketchy wave 4. That's kind of why I think all the price action has been such crap for the last couple of months. I think we've been in a lot of these choppy wave 4s, and pretty much all the tech names. It's been pretty annoying, but I think this could be a large wave 4. You can see here, it basically hits right where we're at right now. That's on the regular chart, on the log chart. The regular chart takes us down here to 405. That's where the gap fills at. We have daily and weekly demand here. How do you find daily and weekly demand? I had a question about that. I look for the gap fills first. So I find the gap fills, and then I also look for candles like this. So I have a candle right here. You get a big move after that. The third candle is the key candle. Does this candle come back into this candle right here? No. That means that this is a demand zone. On the weekly time frame, candle, big move. Third candle doesn't come back into this candle, demand zone. That's pretty much all there is to it. And I put more weight in daily and weekly zones than I do smaller time frame zones. Monthly zones are a lot of times accumulation from are where the whales institutions want to accumulate. I don't know if they have the algos set up like that or whatnot, but that's like a accumulation area. I'll show you on BA here in a second. So this is either the fifth wave right here this is the fifth wave right here of the entire move, and we're looking at either the top right here, and we're going to sell off a bunch more, or this is again some kind of long fourth wave. The third possibility is it's an extension. We get an extended move like this. My target is roughly $611 either way. That's the 1.61 fib of the first wave on the regular chart. But on the log chart, I'll show you another thing. So basically, there's a lot of different ways you can look at this right now. Go to the weekly. So on the weekly time frame, I'll just draw this parallel line and show you. I guess it's right here. We've basically hit the top of this. So 610 actually crosses around somewhere in June or July. I don't know if we'll hit it by then, but we could come up here and go higher too. But this is very overextended as well. You can look at the standard deviations. We can't really go up right now. It's already at the top of the zone. It needs to retrace and then make its way up there like later in the year or 2025. I don't think it's like that overvalued. It's like 32 PE. So it can go down to like 25 PE or 27 PE. And I think it's probably still fine to move up. So that's my thoughts on it. Worst case scenario, it ends up making an A wave down here, bouncing and coming lower. But I think that it's probably a buy in this daily and weekly demand between 362 and 404. And maybe put your entries a little bit higher because sometimes they come down here and barely miss these. But gap fill right here, it looks like they're just going for the gap fill. So I think it's a buy. Tesla. Oh, one other thing about Meta too. This finished below the 50 DMA. So that was 495, finished at 493. So that was kind of a clue. I mean, it's not a clue, but usually that's pretty bearish. And then you can look down here. We have the 200. Here, let me get rid of this. It's not working. We have the 200 right down here in the gap fill. So it is already at the bottom of the daily standard deviation, but on the weekly is at the very top. So now coming down to here, it's going to give it room. And you can see this is pretty accurate. Down here to the bottom, back up here to the top. Now if we come down here to this box, then maybe we can do something like this. Maybe into the election. So, yeah, finish below the 50 DMA. You got the weekly down here. Now you're through the 20 DMA on the weekly. You also have the 50 down here on the weekly. So this zone is where you want to load up, I think. Tesla. Earlier in the day, I was looking at the only bear count I could see now because we did break above this being a 5-wave move. There's only one bear count that actually makes sense now, in my opinion, and that would be some kind of diagonal. Like this. That's the only bear count if the market were to correct. So I think it's probably pretty slim chance. Kind of seems like they're flipping the script on Tesla, but it's only one day. But it does kind of seem like they are they accumulated a bunch and now they're flipping the script. Meta's selling off, Microsoft selling off, Tesla's flat. So it looks to me like we probably bottomed. So then looking in here at this chart, this is potentially this is either the 3rd wave or the 5th wave. I can't decide. I really can't decide. It's really hard for me to tell. Going down here at small time frames. Here's the parallel line for 1, 2. It breaks through right here, so I would consider this a 3rd wave. And then we get this ABC move right here up to 167. Sell-back off to 158. And now it looks to me like this is a potentially a 5-wave move, but it also could be this too. Could be that. We could be consolidating to the next move higher. We did not finish above the 20 DMA. That's where I wanted to finish. We hit the weekly supply zone and sold off. So I'm not sure. 3rd wave here, or is this a 4th wave right here and we're starting the 5th wave higher? If that's the case, I'm looking for this daily supply zone at 170 to 173. But again, you're either looking at it like this, or I'm looking at it like, I'm not sure which one, I can't tell you. I know that this is a 3rd wave, so it should have one more move higher. The question is, I think that this was the 5th wave of the 3rd wave, but you know, when the 1 minute time frame, it gets kind of dicey, so I might as well go over it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here, and then you look at this right here, you can barely see it, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that would make this whole thing, I'm sorry, right here. That would make this whole thing the third wave right there. That's why I have it labeled the third wave. And then we get this move right here, fourth wave right there. So if I'm wrong, ABC move down here. You do have a gap down here at 145. That would really suck if it went down to 145 again. But if it is what a fifth wave, like I said, I'd probably want to buy the dip right here tomorrow. Potentially, this is ABC in itself. So buy the dip right here, stop below the low, and then try to ride this up to 170 to 175, and then that would make 5 waves. And I'd be completely fine if it hit 175 and then consolidated, because we'd be above the 20 DMA at that point. The 20 DMA, let me go to the daily. So the 20 DMA is sitting here at 164.57. So I think there's a very good chance tomorrow or the next day on Friday that we can finish above the 20 DMA. The weekly DMA, or weekly 20, is at much higher, 199. So again, I'm still bullish here, I think. I think that this is still got some room to run. And who knows, maybe we'll get one of those big moves higher, and it breaks through the zone. This is a big resistance zone, though. You can see all of the resistance here. We got weekly supply, daily supply. We have a gap fill here at 170. I think 174 actually. And we'll see which one plays out. Are we going to get that fifth wave up here to 170 to 174? Or are we going to start selling off tomorrow back down here to maybe the mid 150s? So, yeah, that's what I see. This is definitely a third wave, but is it finished or not? I'm not sure. On the hourly, it looks like it's ready to stop going higher, but on the 4-hour, 175 looks pretty good. So bearish that we finish under the 20 DMA, but we'll see tomorrow if we get some more movement higher. Meta earnings did not help out, but I think that they're flipping the script on Tesla. Maybe we'll turn into the stock that cannot go down anymore. As far as overall where I'm looking at, if we do go up here to 175 tomorrow, that would definitely solidify 5 waves for me. Then I'd be looking for a pullback, probably back to 155. But like I said, if they really, really want to solidify that this is finished, maybe we get an extension and we come up here all the way to this area right here. That's going to be tough, though. So even if we come here to 175, consolidate down here, we should be setting up for maybe the news about Elon's pay package. I'm not sure. Maybe that will be a catalyst as well. So maybe he gets the pay package and everyone thinks that's great news. The stock takes off. Not sure. That means Elon's sticking around. So a lot of what ifs with this stock right now, but overall solid move after earnings, and I think that we're ready for a fifth wave higher most likely. But again, 155 could hit. So let's go over, I didn't go over the long term now. The long term. So I was talking about in the other stock, Meta, about how the whales like to accumulate. Usually it's in the monthly supply and demand. And on this one, the monthly supply starts at 228. So if we go up from here, that would probably be the first place that I'd want to sell. So if we do end up getting those moves I've talked about, or if we get something like this, I'd want to sell in here. Probably even if this is a third wave, I'd probably want to sell in this area right here. that's probably where we're going to hit an area and then back off. So that's down the line, probably in the next 6 months, but got to be aware of the supply zones on the monthly time frame. We did break through this demand zone on the monthly, so it doesn't always work. But you can see here too, look at where we're at on the monthly. We're basically in the same spot that we were back in January of 2023. So I think the chart looks primed for a big move higher, but we'll see what happens. Microsoft selling off right now too. I don't think they had earnings. I think this is the start of a fifth wave. So again, and this can go, this is a fourth wave, just like Meta, I think. So if this can go all the way down to, if they have a move like Meta, this can go down to one of the gap fills in the, there's a gap fill right here actually at 375. If it gets a Meta move, it can go to 375 and be completely fine. There's actually the 1.61 fib is right there too. So I wouldn't be surprised if this fills a gap at 375. It looks to me like it's in a fifth wave lower. So I think it's a buy the dip though, obviously, if it does go to 375 and sell off tomorrow. So yeah, that's pretty much it on that one. Apple. So Apple with a little bit of a move higher. Apple doesn't report earnings till next week, I don't think. So let's just take a look at this on lower time frames. I haven't looked at it all day. It looks all right. I still think that there's a good chance it comes down here and fills the gap at 158. But that would be a pretty big move lower. This, though, looks to me... I'm trying to think if this is a diagonal or not. This might be a diagonal, or a few different ways this could play out. So this could be A, B, C like that, but that would be bearish still, in my opinion. That would still be, we'd still be looking for this down here to the 158 gap fill. Or is this a diagonal? Is this like that? This price action isn't really that bullish to me. I haven't really updated the supply and demand though on this. I can do that right now. So I'd be looking up here at 172. So 172 would be the next zone I'd be looking at. Get rid of all these. So if it comes up here to 172, that's a short again, in my opinion, because look at this price action right here. This is definitely an ABC move. So that means A, B, C like that. If it does that into earnings, it's a short because it's going to go down here to 158. A stock's not going to bottom like this very often. I'm just double checking. Yeah, it looks to me like if it comes up here, it's probably a short, or again, a diagonal. So I'd be looking for it to potentially creep up here to 172 to 177 going into earnings. It could also be this. There's so many different possibilities of this stock right now. It could also be this. If they really wanted to send it lower, it could be that. That's the theme right now of every other stock. But overall on this, this kind of looks like a wave 2 to me. So right here is the end of wave 4 of the final move higher. This took 7 months. We've now taken about 9 months for this consolidation that's coming to a close. And the max target is down here at 146. You have a gap at 158. So if it does come all the way down here, it obviously invalidates this being a third wave. I would actually look at this as probably a first wave. There must have been a smaller fourth wave in here. And that could be the end of it too. That could have been the top as well. So that potentially makes this like that. Or if that's the top, because it made a new high, that could just be the fifth wave. Then I'd be looking at this like A, bounce for B, and then more downside. This is definitely a corrective move though overall. So that means you can see here it broke the high, so it's definitely a corrective move. That means after this is finished, you're going to at least get a bounce. But it could be ABC lower even farther if that's the top in the overall stock, or we're going to get a move higher if it's 5 waves to the upside. Going back down here to, I know I'm rambling on, giving you a bunch of different possibilities, but it's good to know these things. Weekly, let's just take a look at how big the first wave was. Get an idea if a diagonal makes very much sense. It does. So I think this is probably a wave too. I know it seems crazy. Maybe it's just like this. I'm buying the dip on Apple if it goes down there. If it goes to 158, I'll start a position. That gap fill, and I would go all the way down to 146. So this looks pretty good overall. And we could see 158, but again, it's pretty much a buy in my book for a move higher or at least a bounce. All right, BA is going perfectly as planned. If you watched the videos from before, so again, I'm just leaving this how I had it last video. They did have earnings. It did come up here. It looked like it could have invalidated, and what happened? It sold off. So that kind of validates my count because we made a fourth wave. You can see it pretty clearly, and then sold off. I had the third wave down here. It broke the parallel line, I think. Let's double check that. Did it break the parallel line? It didn't break the parallel line, I guess. Maybe tomorrow. What's that right now? Maybe tomorrow it comes down here for the third wave to 161. And then I'm looking for that bounce. That bounce will be the fourth wave. Whenever this bottoms here for the third wave, it should take about 10 days. And then that fifth wave will probably take, I would say, like 20 days. So you're probably looking at something around end of May. End of May, I'd be looking for something around 145 to 150. And again, I talked about that monthly demand zone. Check it out, monthly demand. Monthly demand right there. So if this plays out how I have it drawn up, 145, 150 would come into monthly demand. You also have the, I think the 200 on the monthly here at 149. So you want to see that hold though. So we'll see how that plays out. 149 would be the spot to hold, but I'd be buying this zone for sure. So like I said in the last video, I'm looking for this. So second wave takes it back to 200. All right, this is getting kind of long. Let's go over the dollar. Not much movement, nothing to really go over. Those are the possibilities. And let's go over the indexes. I haven't gone over them yet. So this is pretty much validated for the most part that I think this validated a 5-wave move here, but let's zoom in here and take a look. I didn't follow it as much today. Yeah, I think this is a 5-wave move and it's just consolidating. You can see here 5 waves. So consolidation, I'm looking down here at potentially, I think the 3-hour maybe. I'd be looking down here potentially to 5022 tomorrow, so that's about a 1% drop potentially. And if it breaks that, you have this big other demand zone that we already hit. And then from there, I'm looking for more upside. The 1.61 fib, you can see here, look at that, goes right to 5178, where I'm targeting probably into early May. So tomorrow is probably going to end up being a drop. I'm going to double check and just see where this B wave started. It probably started right here, I think. Hard to say though. Maybe started right here. So ABC, you can see here though. Look at that, right back into that zone I'm talking about. So 5020, probably target that area tomorrow. And then I would expect a melt up from there. So yeah, like maybe next week, early in the week, we hit the 517 area. And then from there, we can sell off. Or maybe it goes a little bit higher, it takes a little bit longer. This right here from the top took 18 days, so I would expect this to last for 18 days. So you're looking at May 7th. So that means that this B wave might take a little bit longer. This might take, this took 5 days, so you might be looking at end of April. So maybe early next week, and then maybe something like this. Maybe this will be like that. Probably something like that. Yeah. And then after that, if it's not a 5-wave move, you're probably looking at something like this. When are Apple earnings though are next week, so maybe this will be quicker than what I think. It could be a quicker move up, and we could be looking at a WXY move. So we could be looking at, this was ABC. You could get something quick like this, and then maybe we're finished by early May. So a lot of different possibilities, but I'm expecting this level to hit at some point, which is 5171 to 5209, and then sell off one more time, unless this is the bottom, but I don't think it was. And of course, we're selling off after hours. So this is kind of a long video. I'm going to leave it at that. Meta down to 412. So that's pretty much it. Let me know if you have any other comments, questions, and like, subscribe if you like the video. Sometimes I go on tangents about stocks. If you have any questions about what I'm doing or techniques, like somebody asked about supply and demand in the last video, And again, I'll show you one more time. Supply and demand is pretty simple actually, and it's pretty helpful too. You can actually, like on Tesla, you can actually find the supply and demand, and a lot of times I'll put my orders, my option orders, I'll figure out like what the price will be when it gets to these, and it keeps me from being emotional in my trading because I'll just have the price set up there. If it doesn't hit that area, I don't buy any of the options. I don't try to trade. I'm not trying to trade when we're in between two areas. So here, I'm not really trying to trade. And you can see on the weekly time frame, we hit that weekly box today. If you knew where that was at and you had orders right here, you made a ton of money. You made a ton of money. 167 to 157. If you had puts there, you know that people are going to be selling right here. It's pretty simple. You also got to be aware of like where we're at on the waves too. But as long as you're not, as long as you're selling into supply, buying in demand, then you're going to do a lot better than other people that are just trying to like look at moving averages and stuff like that. So I actually think supply and demand is definitely more helpful than Elliott wave too, because Elliott wave can be very subjective and you can mess up pretty easily. And if you do mess up, it can cost you a lot of money. So I think supply and demand, very important. Hopefully the explanation helps out. And again, one more time. Weekly supply and demand, right? You know what? I take that back. Unfortunately, I take that back. This came into the weekly demand. That was not weekly demand. Hold on. Oh, man. I think that this is actually, that was a really bad example, actually. It's a 4-hour demand. Or supply, I mean. So the weekly, it looked like weekly demand, or weekly supply, but look at this. Like I said, candle down. This candle came back into it. So that is not weekly demand. I need to get rid of that. Sorry about that. Let's go back to daily. So that means we're looking at the daily right here. You can see daily is clearly valid. So that means 170 to 174. We are currently, though, in a 3-hour supply zone right here, which is actually invalidated because we broke above it. So the only supply zone you should have right now is 174 to 170. So what I said earlier, disregard that. But this one's clear right here on the 3-hour. You have the gap fill, and you have this move afterwards. So again, use this as much as possible. It helps you set up trades because now I know that we're looking at this gap fill right here, and this is a gap fill as well. I don't really want to be trading that much in here. I want to be trading up in here and down in here. So that's pretty much it for this video. I might have to do some timestamps now. Leave me a comment, like, subscribe for more updates. Catch you in the next video.